Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how I got my first hybrid remote full-time IT job. So to give a bit of background on how I got into the IT field, let's go back a few years. I entered the workforce after graduating college in 2017 with a degree in convergent journalism. I was very passionate about journalism going through college, but I ended up losing interest by the time that I entered my senior year. Of course, it was already too late in my mind, so I went ahead and finished my degree and ended up graduating right when the pandemic was in full swing. This was coupled with the fact that the landscape for journalism was just too dangerous. In the state of the world right now, it's just very dangerous for journalists out there, and I really didn't want to pose that kind of risk to myself and to my loved ones. A couple of months after I graduated college, I applied to a temp agency where I worked in a warehouse. It was all very much manual labor, not something that I saw myself doing for any extended period of time, but it paid the bills. It got me by for what it was worth. About a month or two into this job, I ended up working at another company where I got about a $3 pay raise. I was making about $16 an hour at this warehouse job, ended up making $19 an hour at this new job that I applied to, where I drove a forklift, basically loaded trailers, a lot of very repetitive tasks, basically a very rugged and long hours. I did end up staying at this company for about 3 years. Toward the end of this 3 years, I was getting a bit tired. I was getting very restless. I wanted a change. I wanted something different. And I'd always been passionate about technology. And I never really gave any thought to going into IT. I had this assumption that it required some kind of math. Once I realized that it really didn't require as much math as I initially thought, and the fact that I was really kind of stifling my own growth by not giving myself a chance to explore these opportunities, I ended up enrolling in a IT program at Western Governors University. This, I feel, was a turning point in my life because the very month that I started the program, I ended up achieving my first IT certification, and this kind of got the ball rolling as far as motivation to get into the field and to break in. About 6-7 months into my program, I ended up actually landing my first role in IT. In this role, I worked as an IT field services technician, where I essentially commuted to different hospital campuses in the local area and worked on several different projects regarding their IT needs. Some of it was setting up various printers. Some of it was doing device replacement tasks for end-of-life devices. Overall, it was a good, solid first step into IT that got me exposed to what an IT environment could look like. While I enjoyed working this role initially, I ended up realizing that the company wasn't exactly the fit that I was looking for as far as starting in my career in a full-time position. I applied to a support technician role on Indeed and eventually caught the attention of a recruiter who had seen that I had some basic IT certifications such as the A+ and the Network Plus, as well as some other personal projects that I worked on that demonstrated my knowledge of basic IT related things. Now, throughout the recruitment process for this role, this was the first time that I actually had been asked some technical questions in the interview process. And they weren't really tough technical questions. Things like, do you know what DNS is? Can you explain what DNS is? Do you have any experience with Active Directory? Things like that. While I didn't have an all-encompassing knowledge of some of the technologies that I was expected to work with for the role, I did demonstrate a sense of ambition and a hunger to learn. And I think that knowledge that you are willing to learn, that you are willing to put in the effort to better your knowledge and to upskill is really crucial for employers to know, because that tells them that you will put your best foot forward and try to adapt with situations in a very fluid and dynamic way. I did have this hunger for knowledge that they were looking for. However, there was still the fact that I only had about 2 months of IT experience at this point, and they were initially looking for somebody with a bit more experience than I had. I think what leveraged me is the fact that I had that knowledge and that ambition to learn, and I ended up throwing in a salary expectation that was a little bit lower than what they were asking for the role. I wanted to make it fair for both parties, knowing that it was still a pay raise for me, but it was also a deal for them to take a chance on somebody who doesn't quite yet have the experience to prove that they really have what it takes. I feel like that leveraged me a lot in a lot of great ways to get me into that role. Now, to my pleasant surprise, I was actually offered a higher offer than what I had asked for, and it was only marginally lower than what the starting pay that they were asking for was. Now, this role I work now is a hybrid role. It is the hybrid role that I was referring to in the title of this video, and this is where I'm at currently. The company is what you would call a managed service provider, or an MSP, and you might learn about these things throughout your studies for the A+ and the Network Plus. Essentially, it is a company that does nothing but IT for other companies. Now, this company being a managed service provider, it really gives me the opportunity to learn new technologies, as well as work in a very fast-paced environment that forces me to grow. And I feel like I work best in fast-paced environments. I don't like having too much downtime just because that's the way that my brain works. When I go to work, I want to be busy. That said, we do actually have a decent amount of downtime in my current role. I think the key to me getting into IT and actually making that first move into IT was building my resume throughout the process of learning. It really set me apart. I feel like I was very active in trying to apply for roles. As I crafted my resume, I started to realize more of what a resume should look like and how I should showcase my skills and knowledge. And perhaps I'll do a video on how I crafted my resume for IT in 2023. No one goes into any career field being a perfect candidate. Everyone has their things that they need to work on. I certainly have my own. What's important is to show that you are willing to learn and you are dedicated to becoming the best version of yourself that you can be. If you show that to an employer, more likely than not, you'll end up finding somebody who's willing to give you a shot, and you will be thankful that you put yourself out there like I was. I hope you guys found this valuable, and if you liked the video, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I do regular IT related content, study tips, I share my own experiences, and hopefully I can help you out just as other YouTubers have helped me out when I was first getting into the field. See you in the next video, and good luck on your IT journeys.